Senator Cotton, you would be next, but if you'd like a minute, Senator Ossoff there.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Senator Cotton. And thank you both for being here. It's a pleasure to see you both again. Director Peters, following up on Senator Booker's question about retention incentives, at USP Atlanta, as at so many facilities, there are severe staffing issues, a real difficulty recruiting and retaining staff. I had sent you a letter asking that BOP undertake what efforts it could to add retention incentives, take steps to ensure that those correctional officers are well paid and can be retained. And you've replied, which I appreciate, just like your commitment to continue working with my office to make sure that we are treating those correctional officers well, paying them properly, and retaining their services.
Thank you, Senator. I'm certainly committed to that. We have thrown every incentive that we can that's in our authority, recruitment incentives, retention incentives, and at the core of many of the issues that the Inspector General reveals is a lack of staffing. And so this is incredibly important to us. As I said in my opening comments, while the incentives have proven a Band-Aid effect, we need to increase the base salary for these correctional officers so we can hire the best and the brightest and then keep them.
Okay, well, I'm hoping we can work together to identify some additional tools that may be available for the team at USP Atlanta. Let's remain on the subject of staffing. In 2021, BOP hired a contractor to develop a tool that was intended to help the Bureau determine necessary staffing levels for safety at BOP facilities, correct?
That's correct.
And in March 2023, so a year ago approximately, BOP reported that the tool was still being tested in 3 of BOP's 6 regions and said it would be rolled out to all 6 BOP regions by June of 2023. Did that happen?
Senator, I'm not sure exactly when it was rolled out, but we have completed the initial data analysis as it relates to those employees who are in the Correctional Services Program Division, and they are recommending an additional 3,500 positions in that category going forward.
In how many regions is that tool currently being used, and is it being used for USP Atlanta, for example?
So I think it's important to understand that that tool is to help us plan for future budget planning and requests. That tool won't help me with the crisis today because I already cannot fill the positions that you've paid for today.
But in how many regions is that tool currently being used?
That 3,500 is all 6. And then, Senator, the next category that they're working on right now is health services, which we have difficulty maintaining and recruiting staff in that category as well.
My office, several offices on this committee have asked for a demonstration of this tool and been told that BOP won't provide it because the tool is still being refined. Can you make sure that we are able to view and observe and participate in a demonstration of that tool within the next several weeks?
Senator, I will work with my team and see the availability and where we're at with the tool and our ability to share it with you.
We can't understand why we can't see it. It doesn't make any sense. We should be able to come and see the tool.
Thank you, Senator. I'll work with my team and see what we can do.
Well, I hope that we can come and see it in short order. Now, I understand BOP conducted an inspection of FPC Alderson earlier this year. My team has requested a copy of that inspection report. Sounds like BOP is working on it. Do I have your commitment to get that to us promptly?
Thank you, Senator. You have my commitment to work with your team to get it to you as quickly as we can.
Thank you very much. Inspector General, your report has detailed how BOP staff were in some cases not carrying out key duties, including required inmate mental health assessments, counts and rounds and trainings, among others. It found that these operational failures contributed to deaths in custody. How significant a role did understaffing play in those failures?
I think it's a very significant problem here. It's been a challenge that we've seen not only in deaths, but as we've gone to prisons to inspect them. And the problems that go both for correctional officers who are substantially understaffed, ultimately being asked to work sometimes voluntarily, sometimes mandatory overtime. Then we have augmentation, which is pulling healthcare potentially, educational staff potentially, facility staff potentially to cover the duties of the correctional officers, which has a cascading effect, meaning there are long waits for First Step Act training. healthcare staffing can be, shortages are exacerbated and things like that. So it's a big challenge.
Thank you, Inspector General. With my remaining time, Director Peters, I want to follow up on an issue at USP Atlanta. As you know, a PSI investigation that I led several years ago found very substantial flow of contraband into the facility, including weapons and narcotics. IG's recent report found that contraband drugs or weapons contributed to nearly 1/3 of deaths in custody at BOP. What steps, Director, have you taken to address the flow of contraband and the threat that poses to public safety at BOP facilities, and in particular at USP Atlanta, please?
At USP Atlanta, the issues that were uncovered still fall into these two categories: lack of staffing and our maintenance and repair backlog. As we were able to show you during your visit at USP Atlanta, that facility structure was crumbling, and it allowed for hiding contraband inside our institution. So we're working to maintain our facilities in a way where they are safe and secure, but we're also working every day to interdict contraband in our institutions through the use of detecting and stopping drone activity, looking at the mail and looking at ways to stop drugs from coming in via the mail. We work diligently to ensure that anyone entering our institution has a background check and is physically screened before they come inside. So this is something that is absolutely top of mind. As you well know and pointed out, contraband is a significant issue and can lead to lost lives or even impact the safety and security of our employees.
Can I just speak to the contraband issue, because it's such a significant issue? It's connected to, we found 1/3 of the deaths in our review and in the report. We've been on inspections, and we were at FCI Tallahassee, for example, at an inspection, and our team went, and what you saw there in terms of challenges on contraband with inmate potentially smuggling contraband. Inmates who were working near the fence lines could easily have something thrown over a fence to them. Inmates who went out to collect garbage were not being checked as they brought bags back into the facility. Some basic stuff that you would think, it's not sophisticated to figure out how to try and interdict that kind of contraband. And not surprisingly, by the way, the prison with the highest number of deaths in our report was USP Atlanta, which had been closed in 2021 precisely because of the hundreds of, the dozens of cell phones and drugs found in the prison. And so this is a major problem. We've had a staff search policy recommendation open for years that has not been implemented, a basic search policy for staff coming in to the facility that hasn't happened either. So there are a lot of challenges on the contraband issue that are very significant that we're concerned is contributing to inmate deaths, both from homemade weapons and from drugs being brought into the facility.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
Senator Cotton?
Director Peters,